Who are you around SP? SP is, in case you don't know, a specific person. The moment we decide to step into the version of ourselves who only experiences healthy, respectful, and loving relationships and friendships with specific people, it's almost a given that an unfavorable circumstance is going to pop up in the 3D. Why is that? Is the 3D taunting us? Is the law of assumption real, but not when it comes to specific people? The answer is none of the above. Your 3D isn't doing this on purpose. It's happening because the 3D is delayed and we've been conditioned to react to it. By the time 3D outpictures a manifestation, it is a manifestation from an old and often forgotten state, meaning a former state you once occupied. After you begin dominantly occupying a state, your 3D is going to start reflecting that new state back to you. And yes, time is an illusion, but it's still something our human selves experience while we're in these meat suits. Now, this isn't to say that you couldn't experience something instantly either. The problem here is that it's hard to pinpoint or to study it because everything depends on you, on the individual consciousness, and where your awareness is focused. My last video was about changing stories that no longer resonate with who you're choosing to be, especially when they're negative or unfavorable, or both. You do so by mentally rearranging the stories in a way that gives the power back to you. Recently, I experienced a circumstance with an SP that was contrary to who I say I believe I am. In the aftermath of the circumstance, I'll admit it, my human side came out. I was livid and very much in my feelings. The difference now is that I know who I am, so I don't identify myself as a victim. I also know that my thoughts and my feelings do not get to dictate who I am. I decide that. I decide everything with my consciousness. Now, as a human, you can let yourself grieve because that's what sometimes the human side needs, and you should give that to yourself. You can acknowledge that you don't like that something happened, but you can also choose to take your awareness off the problem and put it wherever you want, ideally on what you desire. For me, I chose what I preferred to put my awareness on. And I don't give a damn how petty it sounds, but I realized that I had outgrown this SP. It was a former friend now that I no longer resonated with. I didn't care for their values and their beliefs. And ultimately, I know that I'm going to end up gaining more friendships that are more aligned with who I am now. So releasing that and letting this person exit my life, I actually can choose to either get mad or insulted by it, or I could laugh at the situation, turn the other cheek, and realize that there are far better things ahead than what I'm leaving behind. So, good riddance. Never ever apologize to anyone for rising in consciousness. Don't feel bad about leaving some people behind, no matter who they are, because they're on their own journey. You can wish them well if you want, you don't have to, and keep on moving up. The way will be made for you as you walk your own path, and you do so with authenticity and unapologetically. I used to be someone who felt embarrassed that I felt all of the emotions, and I feel them deeply to my core, because my assumption has always been that people who have my type of personality, others expected me to always be strong and to be stoic. But I stopped doing that because I realized that that was not authentic to me. And overall, I've gained more than what I've lost, including this old person. So these are the things that you begin to start paying more attention to when you begin observing them. You find yourself in moments like that, and who you find is your authentic self. Please don't make excuses or apologize ever for being you, because the world, this world that we live in, is a big, big place. Just think about who you want to show up as in your world, but get clear and detailed about it. Define who you are in relation to others, whether it's a romantic or a platonic SP. Your source, so you get to decide who you're going to be and who you're going to act like. Go within and get to know who this version of you is. Who are they in the world? How are they around others? How are others around them? You do all of this in your mind. You're not manipulating anyone, the world around you, outside of you. All of this is taking place in your imagination. It's an imaginal act. Whether you do sats, whether you just are thinking about it, like how I'm thinking about it now as I speak to you, you can script it, you can affirm it. The technique that you choose to use doesn't matter in the least. It's whatever and however you feel like doing it. So let's say that you're manifesting an SP for love, but pretend that while you're manifesting, you've got your eye on this specific person. And so you meet someone else in the meantime, and now you decide that you like this new or second specific person more, and you want to be with them. So what happens if you change your mind? Well, nothing. You're on that bridge now because you made the decision that you wanted this other SP. The only person deciding and choosing in your reality is always you. This is never about the SP. It's never about any other person. It's always you. They don't have free will in your 3D, and they're going to be compelled to play out their role based on what you've assumed. The original SP may still show up for you, and again, it is up to you how you wish to handle it. If you want to date both, then date both. You want to find a third SP, do so. As source, that's your right. No explanation needed. So stop judging yourself and start acting more like the God of your world, because that's exactly who and what you are at your core. You get to decide. So cease judging, especially yourself. Don't do that. I would recommend that you don't do that. All right, so what about if your SP is a friend or a family member, like it was in my case? Well, the same thing applies. What is it that you are assuming their role is in your reality? Because all versions of them exist. So choose whichever version you prefer. And if you don't mind losing this person, then I guess it doesn't matter which version you pick, because you're not planning on them sticking around anyway. So if they do show up unfavorably and you choose to continue to have that person in your life, but they're showing up unfavorably, remove your attention from them. I know that that's hard. And depending on the circumstance, especially when there are feelings involved, and especially even more so when it concerns someone that we love romantically, because that's happened to me. I've manifested romantic partners before. I've manifested them in, I've manifested them out. And so I know that it can be difficult. I know it can also be difficult if it's family that perhaps you live with, and you can't exactly ignore them. But here's what you can do. You can spend more time on your own if it's possible. You don't always have to engage in conversation. You can choose to spend quiet time reading or taking a nap or doing something entirely for yourself, such as a bath or a shower, going for a walk by yourself if that's possible. But start to think about, if you don't like how people are acting around you in your world, in your 3D, start to put your awareness on how it would be, how it would feel for you to be respected, appreciated, valued. And you do this by valuing yourself first, and then the world follows. That is a great reminder for everyone, myself included. What I'm suggesting you start doing right away is revaluing yourself and your position in your world. Because if you don't start acting like the main character of your world, other people or things are going to fill that role. And where does that leave you? You can mourn an ending while realizing that as source, you can choose to shift your awareness and embrace an ending as necessary in order for a new beginning to be paved, one that would be more in tune with you and who you want to be. And the more that you shift your focus to something that is not the problem, something that feels better to you. I want to stay away from using the word positive because, positive, especially for me, that positivity, I associate that with toxic positivity, and that's not what I'm talking about here. But if you're constantly ruminating on what you don't want, you're going to continue to experience more of what you don't want, because your I am is unconditioned consciousness. By placing your awareness on what you don't like, you're giving it that condition. And so energetically, magnetically, however you want to put it, it's going to draw more of the unwanted to you. So the best way to fix that problem is to put your awareness on what you would rather experience. You're going to feel better. So how is that a bad thing? We as humans are in the habit of trying to hold on to people and things, even when our heart knows that we've outgrown them. We form bonds and we feel a sense of loyalty. And what I continue learning is that if I'm cause or source, then I don't need to attach myself to anything or anyone outside of me. When I view another circumstance from that angle, any circumstance, it's much easier to release any semblance of attachment to it, because I can dissociate from that. And it doesn't matter to me anymore if it's a who or if it's a what. Everything, including people, comes into our life because of us and because of our consciousness. So it really is all up to you. It's up to me in my world. One of my favorite books by Neville Goddard, and I don't think that this one in particular is talked about very much, because everybody always goes to Feeling is a Secret or The Power of Awareness. Those are like the ones that you hear being quoted more often than not. But one of my personal favorites, if not my all-time favorite, of his is Your Faith is Your Fortune. In chapter 2, Neville opens chapter 2 with scripture. The first line following Isaiah 55:11 is, man can decree a thing and it will come to pass. Now, I like to rephrase, because Neville is old-timey and the way that he would speak is very antiquated for our modern day speaking. And so whenever he says man, in my mind, I say human instead, because that's more my speed. So think about that. Human can decree a thing and it will come to pass. Human, that's you, the human, I as the human, all of us, right? Sit with that statement for a moment and let it marinate. I can decree a thing and it will come to pass. I can decree a thing and it will come to pass. How many times have we decreed something that we didn't want and it came to pass? How many times have you decreed something that you wanted and it came to pass? But we tend to forget the good stuff and we tend to focus more and zero in on the bad stuff, the shit we don't want. Why? Let's stop doing that. Let's cut that out. I'll continue from Your Faith is Your Fortune, chapter 2. Nothing has ever appeared in humans' world but what human decreed that it should. This you may deny, but try as you will, you cannot disprove it, for this decreeing is based upon a changeless principle. Human does not command things to appear by their words, which are more often than not a confession of their doubts and fears. Decreeing is ever done in consciousness. That's freeing when you think about it, because it puts the control and the responsibility back on you as cause or as source. You're going to express whatever, whomever you're conscious of being. Instead of paying so much attention to what's happening outside of us, I believe we need to establish a habit of paying closer attention to what is taking place within us. What is it that we're saying to ourselves about ourselves? Because that's who it's really all about. It's you. The world really does revolve around you, just like my world revolves around me, etc., so forth and so on. I've heard Tom Kieran from Be Something Wonderful say this a lot of times, and it always makes me smile. It's not about the what, it's about the who, and the who is you. So who are you? Whether it's around your SP or around someone else, anyone else in your reality, who are you conscious of being? Thanks so much for joining me today.